All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Federico Show. That's Nick Tazio. I'm Daniel Federico. And, after our Easter break, we're excited to be back to talk about some sports. We're going to be talking about the Toronto Blue Jays and some college basketball today. But let's get into it. This is the Daniel Federico Show. All right, let's talk about the Toronto Blue Jays. A disappointing start to the season after they came in with a lot of hype surrounding their name after being in the World Series, making a World Series run last year, falling to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And then last night, the Toronto Blue Jays lose 14-2, and they lose their series against the Colorado Rockies, and then they lose and get swept by the Chicago White Sox. The injury bug has really derailed the start of the season for the Toronto Blue Jays. Alejandro Kirk and Addison Barger are the newest names added to there. Even Mad Max, he only pitched 2 innings in the 14-2 loss as he left the game with I think it was forearm tendonitis. Never heard it before, but you learn something new when you have a 40-year-old pitcher on the mound. That is crazy. But, they have a lot of injuries. Some bright spots is that Trey Savage is doing rehab, is rehabbing, and it looks like he's rehabbing pretty tremendously. Kevin Gausman has been hot to start the year. He's not having the greatest game tonight as the Toronto Blue Jays are down 3. Oh, they scored a run. They're down 3-1 in the bottom of the 6th right now. George Springer, that a boy, doubles to the deep right field for the Blue Jays to get their first score and probably their only score of tonight's game. But with the Toronto Blue Jays, the start of the season, I think they start slow. Most likely, what it seems like, they start slow year in and year out, and it's not the greatest thing. But I feel like everybody has the same discussion on the Toronto Blue Jays on how they start a season. Yes, they start slow. John Schneider just got tossed from the game, just got ejected from the game because of a bad call for Gausman. Gausman got called for a balk. It shouldn't have been. And it makes a lot of sense, but I think the frustrations of the Toronto Blue Jays are coming out early and often. And it's something that you really don't see in April baseball. You kind of see that when your season is really derailed in August and September and maybe halfway through July, depending on how bad your season has been. But right now, they're 10 games in, 11 games in, counting today's game. I've never seen a team that has so much hype coming into the season get derailed with the injuries that they have, the amount of injuries. And everyone is, let's hit the button of cause of concern. I'm honestly on the cause of concern side just because of the amount of injuries right now. But once they're all healthy, this team is dangerous. This team is scary. Yokomoto is one hell of a signing for the Toronto Blue Jays, but they do need to see their offense start picking it up, and their bullpen has been terrible. Just terrible. Just flat out bad. They probably have one of the worst bullpens in the majors right now to start the season. It's just been terrible. Little getting sent down to Buffalo is a ginormous move for the Toronto Blue Jays because he just sucked. Every time he touched the mound, you knew that the Toronto Blue Jays were going to lose. I did not like what the Toronto Blue Jays did, and they also sent down Estrada. He threw a no-hitter, or he had a no-hit outing, and they still sent him down. With how bad this bullpen is, that shocks me a lot. But what do you think about this Toronto Blue Jays lackluster start to the year?
It's just injuries dominating their season so far, and they've had a few more, like besides like Barger and obviously like Scherzer as well, and Kirk. They've had Ponce who went down for 6 months. So this is just not an ideal start to the season, especially since they play in one of the more dominant divisions in baseball, and they're going to have to make up for a lot of the games that they lost further down the season. But I think a lot of fans, including myself, are hoping for these pitchers to come back from injury, and it sounds like Savage and Barrios are making pretty decent strides, but
There's a good chance that they come back on the same week.
that would be great. That would be absolutely fantastic. But I think the big problem right now that would kind of offset a lot of this pitching, um, these issues, these injuries to the depth of the bullpen that we have is if the offense got going, because they've been a little lifeless to start the season, and they've had 3 games where they failed to score more than 1 run. All 3 were losses. And the most recent of them, I believe, came against the White Sox, where the White Sox completely shut them out to end the series off. And obviously last night, the 14-2 loss to the Dodgers. And you had Sportsnet making it out to be the rematch, the rematch. If you guys tuned in the broadcast, that was what it was going into the game. It was the World Series rematch. Well, it ended in a fairly one-sided manner. And that was, and right now, the Dodgers are certainly taking it to the Jays. It sounds like the Jays are dealing with more issues connected to that depth. But, a lot of it comes with rehab and making it so that these guys can come back, having the proper environment and the proper facilities, and they have all of these things correct, but these guys need to rehab properly. And the Jays made some big signings in the offseason. One of those was a pitcher, the biggest free agent signing for a pitcher in Blue Jays history, Dylan Cease, and he's played admirably, but we need more from the offense. And it's just pure and simple. We need more from the offense. Guys need to start scoring runs. They need to turn it on.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the offense has been very lackluster. Like in close games that they've already had this season, and their 6-3 loss to the Chicago White Sox before they got shut out 3-0. So actually, just those 2 games. That 3-0 game, well, actually I should go through. That 3-0 game is embarrassing for that offense.
Yeah.
This is a team that went to the World Series last year. This is a team that got a lot better in the offseason with signing Okamoto and just with in riding off of success is what the Toronto Blue Jays are good at doing. But this offense, how they've started this season, has been embarrassing. Their offense has been terrible, but but their bullpen pitching has also been bad and terrible. But it doesn't help that you can't get any hits when it matters the most for the Toronto Blue Jays. Ernie Clement having a bad start to the year. He's too busy on a golfing green with the Spittin' Chiclet boys, again focusing up on the diamond over there. But just listen to these injuries. As of April 7th, that's today up to this recording. I don't know if anything else happens in this game. I turned the game off. Alejandro Kirk is the newest added to this list with a thumb surgery that he had. Anthony Santander, they could use him a lot when he comes back, if he comes back. Addison Barger, his ankle. Jose Barrios. Hopefully he comes back soon. I think he will. I think him and Trey Savage are going to come back in probably a week or in 2 weeks, a week or two. Shane Bieber, they really need him on the mound. Francis, he's not coming back. Yes, Tommy John. Cody Ponce in his debut, having an ACL injury. He's most likely going to be out for the rest of the season. That's very devastating for the Toronto Blue Jays team. And then, Trey Savage, we've talked about. He's going to be back soon. He's doing some rehab pitching. Same with Jose Barrios. This team, when they get their pitching back fully healthy with, Gosman, Cease, and then they add in Barrios and Savage. That's 4 pitchers right there, just alone. And then they put Shane Bieber in there and Mad Max. That's 6 quality pitchers right there, fully healthy. Now, I don't know how they're going to do it with 6 pitchers. Someone's going to go to the bullpen, and that's really going to help the bullpen ginormously because how lackluster that bullpen has been. If the offense still can't get going, I have zero idea on what the Toronto Blue Jays can do next, because there's so much hype around this team right now, and everybody around the world loves the Toronto Blue Jays just because of their family like they're a family like team. This is a family. The Toronto Blue Jays are a family, and the fans can see it. People at home can see it. There's so much hype around this team, especially how amazing that World Series was against the Los Angeles Dodgers. We had an 18-inning game. It went all the way to Game 7. The Toronto Blue Jays were 2 outs away from winning it. There's so much hype that I know it's just April baseball, and I get that. But these wins add up. When you're fighting for a playoff spot near the end of the season in late September and early October, and you're fighting for a playoff spot, these wins right now matter a lot. Especially, if this month doesn't go the Toronto Blue Jays' way, May better be a tremendous year. But their next series against the Twins, and then the Brewers, and then the Diamondbacks, and then the Los Angeles Angels, and then the Cleveland Guardians, and then the end of month of April at the 3-game series against the Boston Red Sox, and that's going to be their first interdivisional series. They need to end this April month on a good high note, because I think it's safe to say you can write off this LA Dodgers series just on how bad it is and how they got pelted last night, 14-2. Oh my God, that was an embarrassing effort, and I think the frustrations from John Schneider are officially showing up and coming out in full force, especially on what he just did on an absolute outburst on the umpire today to get tossed from the game. I don't like seeing the players crash out in April. Yeah. But this is going to create the team. This is going to create the team for the year, I think. This is going to be a sour taste in their mouth. They're most likely going to get swept by the Dodgers here in this series, and it's going to be a sour taste in their mouth. And let's see what this team is about. Are they a fight, or they want to go home? Are they going to fight to go back and try achieve the World Series? So they're going to try and do it, or are they just going to go home and go, you know what? At least we tried, but it just wasn't our year, and tap out in April. And I don't know what type of team we're going to get. We're about to find out in the next couple of weeks. And, but what do you think about the Toronto Blue Jays so far, too? Like, I know we talked about their lackluster start to the year, but anything else?
I just really hope the offense can pick it up, just so it can supplement the lack of pitching depth, deep into these games. Like we could have stolen a few of those games, definitely against the White Sox, and then maybe one of them against the Rockies. We just need to score more. We need to get on base more. I'm honestly wondering if the loss of Bo Bichette is hurting the lineup offensively. But regardless, they got to find a way to supplement his loss. They got to find a way to replace his absence. If that's truly what's dogging them, I don't know what it is, but I think the offense going through it right now is hampering the start a lot more than the pitching depth is so far.
Yeah, like 100%, especially when they lost their opening game series against the Rockies 14-5. Mm-hmm. That was just a terrible showing. But then, losing close games, 2-1 against the Rockies. Where's the offense there? So many strikeouts. If the pitching comes back and they're fully healthy and they're playing at the all-star level that this pitching crew can throw at and play at, and the offense lets them down, I am going to be so shocked. I'm going to be so disappointed, because the amount of firepower that this team has on the offensive side, it should not be this lackluster to start the year. But I get it. It's because they don't take spring training serious. And maybe if they took spring training serious, they would not be off to such a weak start. Because you see it time in and time out with a lot of teams. The teams that take spring training serious are usually the best at the start of the season. And then the teams that, don't take it serious are Their bats are onto a lackluster because you don't have Vladdy batting every game in spring training. You don't have George Springer or these guys. You have, the up and comer and young guys come up. Oh, I got to sneeze. Oh, God bless me.
Let's see.
Yeah, gosh. But yeah, you like the spring training. I don't know what it is, but not a lot of teams are taking it as serious as they should. I'm not saying the Toronto Blue Jays didn't take it 100% serious, but a lot of guys are having days off that they shouldn't have had. Especially if you want to start hot, you get those bats going in spring training.
Yeah, definitely probably something that they should have taken a little bit more seriously. I think there's a lot in the air with these injuries, and I think right now they can only kind of just hope for you, Savage and Barrios, and some of these guys who, are closer to coming back to, make their comebacks a bit quicker than expected, so that they can get ahead of the hole that they dug themselves into, and then start chipping away at the Yankees division lead so far.
Yeah, 100% agree. But we're gonna move on. The Toronto Blue Jays, just like you said, just have to hope. And you called it. You called it from the jump when we did the preview show that these injuries are gonna eat them up. And I was a sucker and I did not want to believe it. But look at that. Your words have come true that these injuries have really derailed the start of the Toronto Blue Jay season. But let's go to the national championship that happened last night on Monday. The Michigan Wolverines are back on top, beating at UConn 69-63. Michigan wins their first college basketball national championship since 1989. What a defensive matchup. The Wolverines, led by a fantastic coach in Dusty May. It was a great duel of two great coaches last night of Dan Hurley and Dusty May. But overall, it was a tremendous defensive matchup for the Michigan Wolverines. As, they were blocking shots, they were grabbing rebounds. Both teams lackluster beyond the arc. Terrible beyond the arc last night. Nobody could be draining threes. It was a 6-point game that Michigan won. The threes had barely anything to do with it. But I'm going to ask you this.
Yeah.
What happened to UConn last night? It had to be their foul trouble early on, right?
I think that played a big part into it. But Michigan just has incredible size. They've been incredibly dominant all season. I think it's safe to say now, through it all, especially like with the way they won last night, the national championship, that they were the best team all year round. But they got after UConn in the paint. And Michigan couldn't make any threes. They finished 2 of 15. They didn't make any in the first half. But UConn, surprisingly, didn't shoot too well either. And they got a couple sharpshooters on their team, notably Alex Caravan and Braylon Mullins, who's known to make a few clutch shots here and there.
Especially that game winner early on in the tournament.
Absolutely. And he even played pretty well against Illinois in the Final Four matchup. But Michigan completely dominated UConn in the paint just around the semicircle. And it has a lot to do with their players, their size, their physicality. Yaxel didn't really have a great night last night. He was nursing an injury. I think he had a knee injury, and he also was nursing something to do with his ankle.
Yeah.
He finished with 13 points. It was funny, during the halftime interview with CBS, he just was like, man, I've been terrible. I got to start making more shots and this and that. It was a really authentic look into the mind of, excuse me, a young college basketball player in such a monumental fixture. And Elliot Cadeau led the way last night, was named the tournament's most outstanding player, scored 19, was Michigan's leading scorer last night. He's been simply phenomenal throughout this whole tournament, just creating so many chances for Michigan to score and just being the maestro leading this whole attack that we often, that we say is so physical and aggressive, but it's complemented by this very smooth point guard who's able to get in there and then gracefully create and score when he needs to. But, you know, Dusty May, congratulations to Dusty May. He went to the Final Four with, I think, Florida Atlantic
Yep,
back
FAU, man, FAU.
FAU. And then it's funny, the year before Dusty May comes to Michigan, they only win 8 games. But then in the 2 seasons that they have Dusty May, they win, I believe, 64. So you can just see the jump in quality for the type of basketball that this Wolverines program has been playing since Dusty May came. And for UConn, it's kind of like a sad ending to what could have been one of the great dynasties that we look back on in college basketball. I don't really consider 2 titles, one back to back, to be a dynasty. You got to have three. You got to have three in there somewhere, whether it's 3 and 4 years, 3 straight. That's a really good for success. But Dan Hurley and his squad, they fought admirably. I think the foul trouble that they got into early, just like you said at the beginning of this topic, did
Yeah, like solo ball going to foul trouble early on in the first half. That really was a cause of concern. And once that happens in basketball, now the whole game is cautious, and UConn played cautious.
they can't play
Majority game.
defense.
They couldn't play aggressive, and it was also like they were having a hard time going up against guys like Morez Johnson in the
Yeah.
paint. Like he was a dominant figure for Michigan in the paint last night, and UConn really had a trouble, especially when they couldn't shoot beyond the arc and they couldn't shoot any threes. They couldn't make any threes. Now every single basket is tough.
Yeah.
On the other end, for Michigan, it didn't even matter they couldn't hit threes. They were going to drive and be aggressive in the paint, and they're going to go to the free throw line. They're going to go to the charity stripe just because everyone's in foul. A lot of the players were in foul trouble.
Yeah.
With either 3 fouls, 2 fouls, 4 fouls. And they were going to go to the line, and they were going to hit their shots often. I know in college basketball, for some reason, these kids have such a tough time on making, clutch free throws. Maybe it's because they're playing at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, where the Colts play. For some odd reason, they're playing a. Yeah, I think it's cool just to have as many fans as possible into the stadium.
Yeah.
But if you're in the 300s, you're not seeing anything in that stadium. They're looking like ants to you on the court, but it is cool if you're watching it at home, and it's a cool figure, it's cool everything. But with these kids, I gotta say though, Michigan was like, hey, we can't score beyond the arc. We're gonna try and be as physical as possible in the paint, and we're either gonna get a tough 2 or we're getting sent to the line. And you guys are already in foul trouble. So you know what? You guys are going to play cautious, and you guys are going to give us these 2 points. And that's exactly what Michigan did. But UConn still played a great defensive game, even though they played cautious. That's why I really like these defensive matchups. And not many people like defensive matchup games. Look at the Super Bowl. People said that Super Bowl sucked. That was a fantastic defensive matchup. It's like that was a great game. Yeah, it was just all kickers. It was all field goals. Yeah, bravo to the defense for both sides of the rock, or both sides of the team. The defense has played a terrific job. Just like this, defense wins championships, and for the Michigan Wolverines, their defense won them the championship, and they're national champions, and they're national champions forever and ever, and their name's gonna live on forever unless there's a scandal. But it's not. It's looking good right now. And Dusty May's a legend coach. Michigan is back on top of the National College Athletic Association basketball Division I. They're back on top. But what else you got to talk about that game?
The fact that it ended a 26-season title drought, national title drought for the Big Ten Conference. And I believe the last team to win a national title in the Big Ten prior to Michigan last night, I believe, was Carmelo Anthony in his Syracuse team.
Yeah.
Back when, but I could be wrong. I just think this is such a good statement for Dusty May, the brand of basketball he plays. The fact that Michigan, even looking towards next year, is still a strong candidate to go deep into the tournament, even though they're going to lose a lot of starters, including Yak. The recruiting footprint in the national basketball landscape has only increased. And then with Dusty May obviously taking his hat out of the ring for the North Carolina job, these new high school kids, now know that Dusty May is going to stick around. He just won a national championship. This is only on the up for Michigan basketball. I wish I could say the same for Michigan football, but Michigan basketball, as a Michigan fan, I'm very thankful that I've been able to watch 2 national titles in 2 separate sports in my lifetime. However,
you're lucky, man. You're lucky. The only championship I've ever lived and saw was a Liverpool championship.
Yeah, but my program is marred by scandal.
Yeah, the Michigan Wolverines football program. Not many people like to talk about it. And
So,
honestly, it's respectable because they are a mess.
did you see that new receiver Ohio State got?
Yeah, bro.
Brock Boyd?
Yeah, that kid, he just got his black stripe removed. Unreal.
Yeah.
Ohio State. I don't know how they find these diamonds. Well, he was really good in high school. Obviously, if he's getting recruited by Ohio State. But I don't pay attention to high school athletes.
I think
in the States.
I know he came from Texas. I think he was a 3 or 4-star kid, but
yeah, he was a Texas kid, and he looks tremendous.
Silky smooth with his route running, and I'm excited.
I'm excited to see what he can do alongside Jeremiah Smith and the Buckeyes this season. But I really like your fun fact here from Michigan. Michigan's starting 5 last night was the first all-transfer starting 5 in NCAA national title history. Good job on the Michigan Wolverines on the recruiting. Did you see the photo of them right in the locker room right after all the celebrations? And they were just like, we're going right into the portal. We're looking at everyone's the portal. There's been 1,000 players to date right now as the portal opened up last night. 1,000 players have entered the portal.
Yeah. That's a lot of players. And I think there were figures being thrown around before the portal opened that a lot of guys were going to move around, but this is a new era of college sports, man.
But you know what I really like, and it really got me thinking, their transfer portal and college basketball is so much better than it is in football. So they had to wait all the way till the end of the season. Players, once their football season ends, they could enter the transfer portal just like that and then start going on recruiting trips. Maybe it is like that in basketball, but once the transfer portal opened up right after right after the buzzer went and the confetti came onto the court, that's when the transfer portal website was alive. And I do like the date is the coaching carousel.
Yeah.
That's way better than college basketball. Because imagine, it was just ridiculous. I get it. If everyone's season is done except the 2 coaches that are in the national championship, then they can move on. That makes a lot of sense because how are you going to move on from these 2 coaches like Dan Riley and Dusty May? Even the Final Four coaches, the coaches that are making a lot of switches they're knocked out. They don't have a future with their program and whatnot. But talking about hiring and talking about firing, let's talk about who UNC, University of North Carolina Tar Heels, have hired as their new basketball coach, Michael Malone from the Denver Nuggets. He will be UNC's next head coach. In my eyes, I think this is a terrific hire for UNC. I think this is a perfect direction, and we thought it was going to be internal.
Yeah,
we thought it was going to be an internal hire, but they go out and get Malone. And I have to say that if he did not accept the job, then they were for sure going internal because this is for sure the only guy out of the office that they were going after. I didn't even know that he was up for the job. Maybe I should have done a lot more research, but seeing that name come up on my phone, and I was like, oh my God. That is a ginormous signing for UNC. Right direction, perfect move. Now it's perfect timing because transfer portal is open. Recruiting season is near its end. UNC, got themselves a baller of a head coach. What do you think about that hiring?
I like it. I'm just nervous given the fact that he hasn't had been a head coach at the college level at all. And his last college coaching experience came back in 2001 at a small school called Manhattan University in New York City. But he is known as a really good X's and O's guy, he's a good tactician. Found a way to utilize Jokic's versatility during his many years with the Denver Nuggets. And I'm not going to say he's the reason why Jokic is the way he is. No, but he definitely found a way to exploit Jokic's great abilities within that Nugget system alongside the likes of Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon. You remember that team, obviously, from when they won the title. So,
Yep.
yeah, UNC, they're getting a title-winning coach at the professional level, but college sports definitely has changed a lot since Michael Malone was last in the college game as an assistant. Now we have NIL. Now we have the transfer portal. So he's going to have to structure his staff around that concept. And I believe from what I've read, he's only going to be keeping like one member of his staff. And from this past iteration of North Carolina staff. So Hubert Davis's coaching staff, he's going to keep. And that's a guy, believe named Sean May, who
Yeah.
was Tar Heel. But he's going to have a completely new staff, but I'm just curious to see how exactly he navigates this new world of college sports, given the fact that they got to deal with revenue sharing and paying players and all that stuff and dealing with the collectives that fund your roster. But I like the hire. I do like the hire. There's just a little bit of trepidation on my part, given the fact that he hasn't coached in the college game for a long time. And you can say, well, that shouldn't matter because they didn't have NIL and transfer portal back in 2001 anyway. Yes, that's true. But you can also see the transition that was made to this new iteration of college sports. You could see it was a lot easier for guys who were in college sports, whether it was basketball or football. You could see it was a lot easier for them as opposed to, I suppose, someone just coming in. Well, look at Bill Belichick. How did that go for his first season with North Carolina football? So I'm not going to say Michael Malone is going to be like Bill Belichick, but I will say that there is a cause for some worry with, given the fact that North Carolina went this outside of the college ranks. And it came because Dusty May and Tommy Lloyd, they said they were staying at their respective schools, which I understand. But yeah, I think it's a good hire on paper. I just want to see more.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, like, it's gonna be for sure a nice transition for Malone from the NBA to now being a head coach for UNC in his first head coaching gig at the college level. What I think is it's yeah, like I really like what you're saying here, and I think it's honestly true because it's for sure cause concern with the recruiting and the NIL now. I think with the recruiting, he brings his NBA experience. He brings the NBA connections. Players love it. If the coach with the NBA experience and all that, and their connections and stuff like that. As if you didn't realize, players are a little bit greedy. So if they can get if they can get one step forward to the NBA and go play for a coach that has NBA connections, G League connections, all this connections, they're gonna go play for him. And I think a lot of players are going to go play for Malone. But on the other hand, though, college game is 10 times different than the NBA game.
Yeah.
Like 10 times different, tactics wise, like just everything wise, athleticism wise. A lot more teams depend on playing a solid physical defensive game and playing big ball. I'd like to say, getting those boards, getting those hands in their face, making every single shot contested. And the NBA, it's kind of like that too, but it's a lot more. Can we dish it up for some threes? How can we go get the easy buckets and and stuff like that? They're not really playing consecutive, like, unless it's the playoffs, but they're not playing really defensive, strongly in the NBA. And everyone can say that's a bad take, but NBA is damn near unwatchable because they don't play defense.
Yeah, or everyone just foul baits.
Yeah. Look at
Like,
SGA. I love SGA. He's a Canadian. He's from Hamilton, Ontario. But
that
he's
guy
gonna
goes
win
to
another
LeBron a
MVP.
lot.
He's gonna win an MVP just for foul baiting, and it's gonna be back-to-back years for winning an MVP just because he can go hit free throws at the charity stripe. Well, yeah, it's just part of the game, and he's the best at it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can't really hate him that much, but at the same time, though, that's just the state of the NBA right now.
Yeah, as from like a basketball perspective, the college game to me is a lot more enjoyable to watch. Um, and
And that's
I
what I
was,
think. Like I think the NBA. So how enjoyable college is. College basketball regular season game wipes an NBA regular season game by far. And then March Madness wipes the NBA playoffs by I don't know, like that's actually that was kind of bad out of my mouth because the NBA playoffs is when they start playing actual defense. That's when every point matters from
yeah,
tip off and now. But March Madness, there's just something about March Madness. So I would say I would rather watch March Madness, a 7-game series of schools going against each other, instead of the NBA. I love basketball. I'm a big basketball fan, but that's just the state of the NBA right now. And this is what I think. The NBA should think of going to the 2 20-minute halves, just because every single point now is crucial.
yeah,
Crucial. And that'll make the regular season a lot more enjoyable, and that'll just make everything a lot more enjoyable. Just take a page out of college basketball, insert it into the NBA, get rid of the end season tournament. That's an absolute joke. Just you know what I mean? Like insert it from college, bring it in, boom, the NBA is great again. Because man, like if I'm going to try and watch a game on a random Wednesday of like the Charlotte Hornets or whatever team, just a random team, for the most part, it is unwatchable. The teams that I think are the most watchable teams in the NBA is the Boston Celtics. I could watch those guys any night. That's awesome. They play awesome basketball. The Denver Nuggets, I like watching them. I haven't really caught many games, but I think I probably watched like 10, 13 games of them this year. Watchable from tip-off, watchable. Obviously, my Toronto Raptors, but right now, everyone knows what's going on with the Toronto Raptors right now, but they're having a big lead against the Miami Heat. But like, they're watchable teams. OKC is watchable.
Mhm.
I think especially when it's Boston and OKC, or any like that was tremendous, just tremendous games. What other team is watchable? I would like to say.
I think
Uh,
Detroit's fun in the rough
Detroit is a
way.
lot of fun. They're a young team and they're really fun to watch. So I'll say they're watchable. Like there's obviously watchable games and watchable teams. There's a lot of it, but on like a random Wednesday and they're playing like I don't know. Like, even if it's two big dogs going at it on a random Tuesday or Wednesday night in the middle of the week game, it's very unwatchable unless it's like 2 minutes left in the game in the fourth quarter, and that's just basketball. But in
Yeah,
college, I was glued to my screen. I've been glued to my screen all March Madness, and even before March Madness, just because how awesome it is from tip off.
yeah,
NBA, I kind of just sit there and I go, when are they gonna start playing defense? Everything's easy.
yeah. It just I'm with you. I'm purely and utterly with you. Like I would rather watch the college game probably 9 times out of 10. The last 1 time out of 10 being that I love the NBA Finals and I'm a big sucker for the NBA
Mhm.
Finals. But um, I just love the way that college basketball is set up. I love how hard the kids play. I love just about every aspect of it. And I'm a big college football fan too, so perhaps there's a bit of bias just from a college standpoint, but I would rather watch the college basketball, like that version of basketball, way more than I would rather watch pro basketball.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how crazy just the thought of that is? Like, just like I think I'm with you too. Like, I'd rather watch the college basketball, but you know how crazy the thought is that people like us, like there's for sure a lot of people that think about it too. Like have the exact same thought that the NBA is very unwatchable. But
It's
there's
hard.
always these people that are like, I'm gonna watch the NBA night in, night out, nonstop, all 82 games. no matter what. I love this team. Like, yeah, trust me, like, there's, I don't think anybody loves sports like how me and Nick love sports. We'll watch anything. But when it comes to the NBA, like, I'll sit down and watch an NBA game. But if it's like a Wednesday night, I'd rather watch or read a book than watch the first 3 quarters of an NBA game. I will wait and watch the fourth quarter of a close game because that's when pure basketball is being played. And
Yeah.
there's no diss on the NBA. Like, yes, they have the best of the best players, but you got to have some. Like, there's no incentive that will make these key players want to play harder for all 4 quarters. And maybe they are playing very hard. And if it is like that, then basketball has really gone soft, and it has.
Yeah. The sport as a whole to me has become a lot less enjoyable, just given the fact that we have, and this is speaking more from the pro game, we have obviously load management and then the foul baiting, and it just seems like the basketball that we knew and we love, like from like in terms of like a 2000s perspective, and I don't want to get like too nostalgic because I don't want to get like stuck into that, but you know, we had players that served purposes in which they no longer have in this day and age. Like
Like a
long,
Dennis Rodman,
well, yeah,
pure
Dennis Rodman.
rebounder.
But how about, yeah, Dennis Rodman? How about a guy like Ben Wallace who
But
dominated
yep, yep.
the defensive statistics, and he was the one of the best defensive players in the 2000s. But he was a very one-sided player in terms of what he could do. He was a shot blocker. He was a rim protector. Nowadays, if you're a big, you're expected to make shots, which is why you've guys like Jokic and Wemby who are almost, you are, very efficient from the 3-point range and the mid range. Guys like that, like Ben Wallace, they're kind of eliminated. And we don't have as many players, like we also don't really have as many pure creators, I feel like. Nowadays, if you're a point guard or you're a shooting guard, the onus is jacking up threes, which kind of gives way to the creator, the point guard who was specifically his main job
Yeah, like
was
give me a
create
point guard that's
chances.
had give me a point guard that's going like I mean like 8 points a night, 11 assists, and maybe like a couple steals too. Like give me those type of point guards, creators.
Yeah, and it just seems like that has kind of the true creator, like the creator who that is their primary aspect of their game. Like that is, I don't think that's present anymore. So, from the whole basketball perspective, it's just you know what it is. It doesn't really matter what I think about it, but it's just the changing of the game. The 3-point evolution has completely taken over. We now have different ways to build rosters with like small ball lineups, which the Golden State
Yeah,
Warriors
small ball
popularized.
lineups and it doesn't
Yeah,
also doesn't help that like I love threes. I love seeing a good logo three, a clean, crispy corner three. Like I love seeing these three. I love seeing the game. I just wish that if they added tougher defense in every single game from 82, like at this point, sure in the season, like I literally at this point, let these guys play 42 games in a year.
yeah,
Then you'll see some pure basketball, and you'll see the MVP race be pure. Like Doncic can't, Luka Doncic can't be, he can't even be in the MVP race anymore because he got hurt.
yeah. I think the season is quite long, and that's why you do see load management. Um, all the more reasons why I don't enjoy basketball like I used to about 10 years ago. So.
Yeah.
Uh, but to
Like
get back to the college game, it's just way more enjoyable because a lot of these kids are playing in hopes for future NBA spots and to be NBA draft picks. So you just see them lay it all out on the floor, and then there is less foul baiting. The basketball, I would say, is more pure because these guys aren't pure 3-point
And
shooters.
it
And
feels like the officials, they kind of let a lot more go in the college game.
yeah, I mean, there were a few weird calls last night. Like a UConn player fouled out last night, which I thought
Yeah.
was, and I'm a Michigan fan, but like
Yeah.
he slightly brushed up against the ball carrier going up court, like right near the half court
Yeah,
line.
that was
Ref
ridiculous. That was
was like
ridiculous.
That's a little weak for a national title
But
game.
you'll get like a lot of weak calls, but I do think like in the paint, I think they let them be a lot more aggressive than they would in the NBA. Like if you get even touched and going into the paint, driving into the paint in the NBA nowadays, it's a foul automatically. But here's how I would fix the NBA. So I would keep probably the 4 quarters, even though I would love to see 2 halves, but I'll keep the 4 quarters. But the only thing is shorten the season, literally in half. Let's get 41, maybe 42, 40 games, 40, let's go 42 games, maybe 44 games max. In a regular season, um, let them be aggressive in the paint. That's the best, man. Let them just jack up an elbow in someone's face. Just like Michael Jordan's era.
Yeah,
They're
back in the
physically,
90s.
let them get in a fight in the paint. Well, so but like let some stuff go. Like foul bait should not be allowed. Flopping should not be allowed. It just honestly, you're a grown man flopping. It's actually pretty much it's very soft. It's very soft on their end. But that's just the game. That's the NBA game. But you know, 4 quarters, 42 game season. You'll see pure basketball, pure defense, pure every shot counts, every point counts too, because the shortened season, everybody wants to make the playoffs. Everybody has one goal and winning the championship. 42 seems perfect to me. If you want to do like a 28 game season too, you can go all ahead. There's no need for basketball, like a sport like that. There's no need for a full 82 games.
Yeah.
It's 62 probably max, I would say.
Yeah, 82 is a lot, and it would significantly decrease the load management issue, which we see in the media all the time. So you just wouldn't see people talking about it as much because you would see stars playing more consistently in the hopes of nabbing a top seed for a playoff spot if the season was shortened.
You see like less tanking also because like well no tanking's always going to be there. I would think to say
Yeah, it's always going to be
it's
there.
just always going to be. I don't think
Another
you can
sports
figure out
team.
a way to tank, but in a 42 game season, like if you start hot, like you start the season 10-0 or 12-0, like those are going to be ginormous wins. Like the start of the season literally can predict how your whole entire season goes, and
Yeah.
that's in the NBA is what they miss, and that's what college basketball is awesome because I'm pretty sure they just play like 40 games in the regular season in college, and every single point matters. Every single play matters in college basketball. Everybody is hustling on that court, up and down, playing defense. Everyone's at least attempting to be a two-way player. In the NBA, you don't really see that two-way players that much anymore. It's kind of a position, or it's kind of like a style of play that's going to exist. It's not existing anymore, and it's pretty shocking because the NBA is better when everybody's playing defense. Just look at the playoffs. But there's like, if I'm the commissioner, also you don't want to lose out on the media rights. You don't want to lose out on all these money, so you got to keep it 82 games. But I think 82 games for a sport like basketball is completely foolish because you don't need it. You literally don't. Like hockey, I think you need 82 games. But even that, you could put like 58 games there, 73. Like shorten it just by a little bit. NBA is a season where you have to cut that bad boy in half. And that's when you'll get the best and most pure basketball. Because I think sports are better when it's just straight pure football is the
Yeah,
best. Like just pure soccer. Like it's just pure. Something about the NBA is not pure. Like I could go turn on a game that happens at like 10 o'clock or a game that probably just tipped off. And you're probably going to see probably 4 exciting plays happen in the first 3 quarters of the game. And then the last 3, 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, that's when everyone's starting to play for a lot of money or whatever. They're playing, their contracts on the line, it seems like. And
yeah.
and that's just one bad issue about, the NBA. And like I hate how the shit on the NBA. I like that. I like basketball. But until they fix it, until they fix how every game got to be pure, a lot of fans around the world are going to catch on. And that's my opinion.
I agree. but like you said, they won't. The seasons won't be shortened because like the NBA cannot afford to lose out on the media rights deals. And if anything, we're going to be seeing even more expansion within the season. I mean, the NBA, they're already talking about a Euro League where they're going to have
See, I
teams.
like that because Euro basketball, those European teams, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
Euro League, they play basketball. That is pure physicality type game over there in Europe.
And the atmospheres are like soccer atmospheres. You got people lighting up flares. You got ultras in the stands. You
Yeah,
got
it gets
like
sweet.
tifos and stuff like
It's
that. It's
sick.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
insane. So, you know, I the game of basketball to me, it's hard to enjoy because it's not what I liked when I was younger. And it
Because
is,
when we were younger too, think about it, like the early 2000s, and I like to say this, I think the game became soft post COVID. It's always been a lot of foul baiting. That's flopping. That's always been in the game. That's always been in the game since the game
yeah.
got created. But I want to say, after what do they call that when they did like the gym style basketball in COVID-19?
Well, the
Uh,
bubble.
yeah, the bubble. It feels like the game became a lot more softer since the bubble, and I don't know why that is, but that's when I kind of like maybe that's just the last memory that I have, like vivid memory is COVID and was just like, you know what, this game used to be like 2019 Raptors run was tremendous. But even before that, like the 2015, all these teams playing physical and literally getting in each other's face from tip off. I don't know where this game happened, but I want to say probably 2020, 2021, 22, and to now game's gone soft, and it has to be since the bubble. Has to be. That's when I could kind of pinpoint the last time I think I've had a conversation about how this game has gone soft.
Yeah, the game is, I'm just not a fan, really. It's for
Yeah.
get into it. And
Especially like when you're going from watching football.
well, they did dunk too. Like we don't see dunkers anymore. Nowadays in like the NBA, the most exciting play is a three-point shot. And like you, I do like three-point shots, but I love a good old-fashioned dunk every now and then.
I got beautiful, good old poster. Like Ant Edwards, that kid, he's a pure basketball player. I love watching Anthony Edwards play basketball.
Yeah.
He's super physical in the paint. He's super physical on both ends of the floor. We need more players of Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
And
I
I
mean, he's
and what
like
I
made in a lab though.
yeah, he was made in a lab, and I think they should start creating them all in labs because man, if everybody could become Anthony Edwards, the NBA would get more views than the National Football League.
Well, I don't know about that.
Dude, I think it would be, bro. If NBA, because NBA has a good product of skill players, dunks, and all that, but they don't play up until their standard until 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I truly think that the NBA could for sure have a competition with the NBA, with the NFL, if everyone played basketball like Anthony Edwards.
I don't know. I really don't know. Would you? Would you watch that NBA more than you watch the NFL?
No, I want to. No, 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 no. But I'm saying it could compete. Like it probably wouldn't be
Yeah, no,
obviously.
like okay, I'll give you compete.
Yeah,
I just
like
think the NFL is in such a different like they're
well,
just
yeah, like you're
so
seeing like
gigantic.
I like watching the NFL because it's the closest thing that you get to gladiator fighting. And it's the X's and O's, and you got a great defensive mind on one end of the floor, or one end of the field, and you got a great offensive mind. So you got a defensive mind and an offensive mind to the top of their class, at the top of their games, going at it, playing chess with humans. That's what makes football the greatest sport of all time. They're playing chess with humans. Basketball though, but if everyone played like Anthony Edwards, physicality and all that, in an 82 game season, everyone would eat that up and love it. Then playoffs would come around and people would love it even more. I would say that would compete with the NFL any day of the week. Right now, obviously the ratings and all that is for sure competes with the NFL, like being in second place or third place. I forget what the rankings look like, but nothing's gonna top the NFL until they get a better product than the NFL. And it's really hard to get a better product than the NFL because, well, the NHL, I feel like Americans are just finding out about hockey because every time hockey's turned on like ESPN, they're talking like this sport is awesome. Where has this sport been my whole entire life? Well, it's been in Canada our entire lives. You guys just had to care about it. Um, and then yeah, but like the NBA, NHL, their seasons are just too long, and not every single game is meaningful. And the NFL, you lose like 3 games back to back to back, 3 straight games. Your season's coming down to an end.
Yeah.
And but with the NHL, like I just said, like not trying to disrespect America or anything, but like it feels like they just found out about hockey like 4 years ago. I don't know, maybe it had to be with Tampa winning in the Stanley Cup and Florida winning it and Colorado winning it, but there's been American teams winning it for I don't know, like for many, many, many more years now. Um, but I would say like I would say that's third place or second place right now viewership, and it's whatever NBA and NHL flip flop, but nothing's ever gonna touch the NFL ever. Like, soccer can easily, but it's not
I
big.
think
It's not big in North America like how it is in Europe.
no, I mean but I did see the figures for like Man City, I think played United a couple months ago, and there were more viewers on that game than there were for the Super Bowl globally. It was like 600 million people watched that game. And
Yeah, because soccer is just so big. Football is
yeah,
just
it's
ginormous.
the
Like like
world's game.
like American football is ginormous. Like the NFL is huge, but soccer, it literally touches every single country. There's really very few sports that can touch every single country and around the world. And soccer is that one sport. Baseball could be number two, and then I would like to say basketball number three, because basketball is a ginormous global sport, especially
Yeah.
in
Oh yeah.
Europe. And like football, they're trying. Great thing that they're trying, but at the same time, there's just some things that just have to stay in North America, and that's what American football is. Because, like obviously, we talked about the European League of Football, we talked about the European leagues around the world, and like I'd like to say we're kind of advocates. Like football should be spread around the world, and it's a
Mhm.
great game, and people should get into it. But at the same time, people are gonna be like, "What's the point of this?" When we could just go watch 90 minutes of Man United and like Liverpool or the Manchester Derby or
Yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like I get where the European mind's at, but at the same time, it kind of ruins for the American players and the NFL when they have to travel to Australia and play on a Monday.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like it's
But
just tough. It's just tough like that. But we got to end this show. But just do want to say this too. We were not trying to disrespect anything or anyone or any league by saying that it's kind of just facts with the NBA. With the NFL, I hope to become global one day. This has been the Daniel Federico Show. That's Nick Tazio. I'm Daniel Federico, and we are back.
back.
Ciao.
Ciao, people.